Sean Strickland, every strike that he threw pretty much landed, and you see it, man. The whole right side of Izzy Adesanya's face was swollen, and at the end, man, Strickland was just feeling good, dude. Throwing his hands down, yelling at Izzy Adesanya like, come on, baby, let's go. What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. We got a good breakdown vid for you. Today, we're going to be talking about the Izzy Adesanya versus Sean Strickland fight. It was a banger. You're probably wondering, why am I talking about this fight? Well, Sean Strickland will be facing off against Paulo Costa. I can't wait, man. Sean Strickland's fought Izzy. Izzy's fought Paulo Costa. And now we're going to get the Sean Strickland and Paulo Costa showdown. And at the end of the video, I'm going to be talking about what these guys need to do to get the W that night. Let's go.
What up, everybody? What's up, everybody?
Now, before we get into this breakdown, we need to talk about each one of these fighters, Sean Strickland and Izzy Adesanya. We all know Izzy Adesanya is a range fighter. He's very good, has got different things from each range: long range, kickboxing range, boxing range, and of course, close range. But predominantly, this guy is a range fighter. He uses his feints. He does a ton of feints out there to really put his opponent in a box and really get his opponent biting on those feints. And then he's able to start using his strikes, landing his strikes, putting his game together. Now, we all know Sean Strickland. He's got one direction, and that is forward. He's going to walk you down. He's going to punch you in your face. He's going to eat your space, and he's going to keep your butt up against that fence so he can put it on you. Now, we've noticed in the past that has gotten him in trouble in certain instances, especially when it comes to that big brute, Alex Pereira. You know what's crazy about this fight is I swore, and I know you did too, and everybody, all the fight fans around the world knew that Izzy Adesanya was just going to piece up Sean Strickland. And it was surprising that it didn't happen. It was amazing, actually. This is why I love the fight game. You can have one guy, dominating the division, and then he fights this guy who's down here, and he gets smoked. It's crazy how this fight game works, which is why it's one of the most popular sports in the world and fastest growing sports in the world. Let's get into this breakdown, baby. Let's talk about the first round. First round, Izzy is doing his Izzy thing. He's throwing his feints, but the thing is, Strickland doesn't bite on those feints. Strickland is the type of guy, he doesn't care what you throw. He's going to be in your face no matter what, which was kind of like unexpected when it came to Izzy, because Izzy's so good at putting his opponent in a box by throwing those feints, right? It keeps your opponent from shooting in, especially when you start faking the knees, start faking the front kick straight up the middle, and he really keeps his distance, his range with his hands at such far distance is very difficult to get on the inside. But the thing about Sean Strickland, the dude is a boss. This dude didn't care one bit. He was going to come forward and he was going to put Izzy Adesanya's butt up against the fence, and that's exactly what he did. It was a little slow at first. Izzy Adesanya was definitely throwing more strikes, landing a few strikes here and there, nothing significant, nothing that really hurt Sean Strickland. And Sean Strickland was kind of hesitant at first. I think he was really feeling out Izzy Adesanya in that first round just to see what kind of power and what this guy is all about. And to be honest with you, I don't think Sean Strickland even watched one fight film leading up to this fight. And if you notice in that first round, Izzy was really using that front hand to try to keep Sean Strickland from eating his space, to really keep him at bay, which is where Izzy Adesanya wants him to be. He's not predominantly a close quarters fighter, but that is Sean Strickland's space, man. Izzy likes to keep him away. Sean Strickland likes to get close. And whoever keeps his opponent in their range is predominantly going to win the fight. I mean, we all know that everybody can get hit by a punch and get knocked out. I can close my eyes and swing and hit somebody, and sometimes we've seen that happen. But in this fight, it was so planned out. It was beautiful. It's just the fact that Sean Strickland kept his hands high. He didn't start reaching out, because that's how he ended up getting knocked out by Alex Pereira. Was reaching out, parrying Alex Pereira's jab, and he ended up getting clipped. And they mentioned it in this first round. Izzy was using his long arms. He was trying to keep him at bay, trying to pick his shots, and he kept backing up so much that he kept his butt up against the fence. And later in that fight, he couldn't get off of the fence. Strickland was cutting off that cage left and right. Now, let's go back to what I was saying about Izzy Adesanya using that front hand to try to keep his opponent at bay. A lot of times, if you stick that front out, either your opponent doesn't do anything about it, or they start reaching and start trying to grab that hand, which leads you to be able to pop shots off because their hands are busy trying to grab yours. It started to work a little bit with Izzy. Izzy landed a few shots there, But then Sean Strickland got his timing right. And as Izzy Adesanya had his back up against the fence, Sean threw a jab at the exact same time Izzy shot his front hand out. Izzy ended up getting hit by that too, dropping him. And I think this is what changed the rest of the pace of this fight. Knowing that you're going to go out there and dominate this guy, but getting clipped in the first round. And man, Sean Strickland jumped on him like crazy. Smothered him with punches. What was amazing was Izzy Adesanya got back up and finished out in the middle of that cage. But that hurt him really bad. And mentally, that can really throw your game off, throw your thinking off. Knowing you got hurt by this guy who you think you can just dominate can really mess with your spirit and mess with your mind. Moving on to the second round. I do believe that was definitely a Izzy Adesanya round. I mean, he was throwing crazy volume in this second round. Now, I don't think it was because Izzy Adesanya saw any openings. I think it was more in the fact that he was trying to keep Sean Strickland away from him. Sean Strickland was constantly, literally, was not moving in a fighting stance. He was walking forward, walking, just like Jason Voorhees, chasing his opponent down, keeping his hands up, obviously, but he wasn't throwing a ton of volume. He was picking his shots, and I think it was strategic. And the reason I say that was because whenever you guys are, especially a counter striker, is trying to keep an opponent off, or he feels threatened in a situation, he'll throw a ton of volume, which can tire you out. And if you notice in that second round, Sean Strickland was throwing a lot of front kicks to the good old bread basket. And when you're starting throwing front kicks to the bread basket, they may not hurt right away, but they last a longer period of time throughout the entire fight. You get hit to the body here and there, 1, 2, 3. At first, it doesn't feel like it hurts, but as those rounds go on, you start to slow down, your breathing is being disrupted, and you get tired. So I think even though Izzy Adesanya won that second round, I do believe that it was strategic in Strickland's game plan just to try and tire him out. Get in his face, make him throw a lot, and start throwing those front kicks to the good old bread basket, baby. The third round pretty much looked exactly like the second round. It's Strickland coming forward, keeping Izzy Adesanya's back up against the cage, forcing this guy to throw tons and tons of techniques, which is super exhausting. Very, very tiring. And you notice anytime that Izzy Adesanya is throwing his strikes, Sean Strickland's doing all this right here. He's not reaching out, because the farther you reach your arms out away from your body, the more you're going to be open. But you see him do this kind of deflecting kind of defense, which predominantly works in this fight. He's deflecting all of Izzy Adesanya's technique, not taking any damage. Now, even though Izzy is throwing a lot of volume in his techniques, he's not landing a whole bunch. And Strickland is very precise, throwing a lot of front kicks to that bread basket and throwing power shots to the head when he sees the opening, which is what he did later in that third round. And now, moving on to the fourth round, now you're starting to see the fatigue. You're starting to not see Izzy Adesanya when his back's up against the fence, not sticking his arms out, because that is tiring. Sticking your arms out like this is very tiring on the shoulders. So instead of doing this, he's covering up. In my eyes, if you sit there and cover up with your back up against the fence, you're pretty much telling your opponent, okay, punch me. And that's exactly what Strickland did. Threw some heavy, heavy shots and slowing him down consistently with that front kick right to the gut. Anytime Izzy Adesanya's arm is out, he's throwing that front kick right to the gut. Super tiring, disrupting that breathing, and you're starting to see that in the fourth round. Threw some big shots in that fourth round from Sean Strickland. And Izzy Adesanya, he's getting slower. And it's getting to the point where Sean Strickland, he doesn't really care what Izzy Adesanya's throwing, because he knows it's not going to be as powerful. Moving on to the fifth round. Let's get it. Man, oh man, that fifth round was fire, dude. Fire. Fifth round comes out, Sean Strickland immediately getting Izzy Adesanya's back up against the fence, but man, you're starting to see the fatigue of Izzy Adesanya. All of his punches and kicks don't have any steam on it. He's trying to find that strike. He's trying to find something that will hit Sean Strickland. But Sean Strickland, man, he looked cool. Looked in great shape. They were saying this guy was doing 15 to 20 rounds in sparring sessions, man. He came in here looking sharp. And to be honest with you, moving backwards on your heels is very, very tiring. I wonder how much Izzy Adesanya did that in training camp. Probably didn't do it at all, which is why you see the fatigue coming out of Izzy Adesanya. Not only that, but Sean Strickland, every strike that he threw pretty much landed. And you see it, man. The whole right side of Izzy Adesanya's face was swollen. His front kicks were working to the body. At one point, I saw a front kick and you saw Izzy Adesanya. Well, I can't even talk. I can't even say his name. Izzy Adesanya kind of hunch over a little bit, you know that it hurt. You know that it hurt. And at the end, man, Strickland was just feeling good, dude. Throwing his hands down, yelling at Izzy Adesanya like, come on, baby, let's go. Izzy didn't have it, man. It was a very, very strategic and very, very smart game plan. Now, I don't know if he planned for this or this is how he always fights. I don't know if it was planned, but made Izzy Adesanya throw tons and tons of strikes, which tired him out, made him feel uncomfortable by being in his space and moving forward the whole time, having Izzy Adesanya back on his heels the entire fight, which you saw in that 5th round. Fatigue set in and Izzy Adesanya and Sean Strickland came out with that W. Now, that said, go back, watch this fight. It's on YouTube right now. And let me know what you think in each round. It was amazing. Now let's talk about this fight a little bit with Sean Strickland versus Costa. Now, Costa is definitely a different fighter than Izzy Adesanya. This dude's explosive. He's tricky. He doesn't mind mixing it up a little bit. And he's got power in his strikes. Now, Sean Strickland, I think he's going to do what he always does. I do believe he's going to get right in his face, try to tire him out just like he did Izzy Adesanya. If Sean Strickland can make him tired, and we know Costa, very bulky guy, tends to fade later in the rounds in that 2nd and 3rd round. If Strickland can get in his face and make him cover up, make him feel uncomfortable, land his strikes, and especially if he used those front kicks like he did against Izzy, I think he can tire him out and come out with that W. Now, Paulo Costa, he's very explosive and very powerful person. If he can do what he did against Luke Rockhold, beat this guy with straight, powerful techniques, mix up the grappling a little bit, I think he can win that fight as well. I'm not predicting any knockouts. I hope there is one, but I can't do that, man, because you never know. Let me know in the comments down below who you got winning that fight, and I hope you keep tuning in because I love these breakdowns. Let me know what you think in the comments down below. Peace.